What's up, squad? This is Brandon from the Bantu Sun. Thank you so much for joining me today. I want to talk on this recent deal made between India and the United States. Kind of, I find it kind of odd. It's not the best deal in my eyes. It's a sweet deal if you're the United States, but it's a deal that India went out and made, and I'm not really seeing it when I look in the details. So the premise of the deal, and a lot of this has been coming from the American side, President Trump's tweets and the administration talking about the details. It's been a little bit more coy on the Indian side, although the Indians do praise one of the key features that it's obvious they get is the tariff rate going from 25% on Indian goods, a punitive tariff rate for their business with the Russians, going down to 18%. It's relatively favorable to their neighbors, Bangladesh and Pakistan, but it's still 18% because you're comparing that against what the Americans get. The Americans get zero tariffs, so they're getting goods put into India pretty much for free or against Indian business. And then on top of that, India has assured them that they're going to cut off Russian oil, which is a real big one. Now, oil is everywhere, but India is not really in need of oil. India is one of the world, if not the world's largest refiner, even though they're not domestic producers of oil. They're great importers of it, and they add great value with their refineries, in which they export to the world. And if you understand geopolitics, you knew when the Russians were cut off from European markets, they really have no place else to go. When you get cut off from the West or the United States, there's only two viable alternatives in the world: India or China. Those are the only two countries that come close to giving you the demand that you need to basically supplement that deficit that you have from being cut off from Europe and America. The world is changing every day. India is getting bigger and bigger, economically speaking, and they are slowly becoming the prize. It wouldn't surprise me. The only real benefit America has, of course, is going to have a lot more consumer spending on per capita basis. So you get to go into their markets, and you also want to get a lot of their high end technology if you can negotiate that deal. But India, and maybe it's just Prime Minister Modi is really excited, and he likes that feeling because they just had the mother of all trade deals with Europe go through, where that seemed a lot more balanced. I can see the benefit to India getting that access to that technology market, some of that high end industry to bring into India. Because what they're really going to do, like it's like the Chinese, get access to it. And once you get access to it, you can develop and improve upon it, and you can have your own tech. But it's also a way to give your citizens more market. So India was going to be able to sell really into that European market, which Europe desperately needs, especially when you consider the models. India is a lot more rural than China is. And China's strong suit is more on the industrial base. India's strong suit is more on the labor skilled base. So you see a lot of them like in IT, etc. There's phone centers, garment industries. You can, as opposed to China with more industrial level, like machinery, and heavy goods. But India also has that opportunity is a value add. So they really big with this on Russia. I mean, with Africa. Where do you think they get the oil from? They get a lot of oil from Africa, which they refine. They get a lot of diamonds from Africa, which they refine. And that kind of becomes the world workshop. And this really suits them. With the United States, I see them so much as competitors that I rarely see the overlap. Of course, India benefit greatly from their overseas diaspora sending remittances back to the home country, but I don't think that's really in threat. 7% tariff improvement from 25 to 18 for what? Like, what really are they missing out on? Not being aligned with the American markets. So maybe there's some good deal on the back end I'm not seeing. Maybe the Indian administration get 10 years free at Mar-a-Lago golf course access, but I'm not sure where they're getting the gem from with this deal. Now, like I said, America got a sweet spot, right? This is pretty much going to cripple Russia. It's going to be interesting to see. I think I saw something about Russia trying to talk to Pakistan, but as far as a trading partner, Pakistan pales in comparison to India. When Russia was cut off from Europe, India and China has kept them afloat. President Trump going after Venezuela. You see what the MBS or Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is doing in Saudi Arabia. He's scrambling for alliances and trade deals and networks. Obviously, a lot of people are anticipating Trump is going to, or the Americans are going to dump the flood the oil market with Venezuelan oil. As that Venezuelan oil comes online and is infinite or seemingly so, that is inexhaustible and it's going to flood the markets, which is going to suppress the price of oil. That's also something a key tenet of Donald Trump when he constantly talk about gas being below $2 a gallon. So you have the situation where people are anticipating oil prices are going to drop. And with the acquisition of Venezuela, and now India is saying, or allegedly saying, that they're going to stop buying Russian oil, that's really going to kick the chair out right from under Russia. Because one of the things they really rely on right now to sustain this war in Ukraine is oil revenue. So this is a big shock, I think, to them. Another thing, and why it caught me off guard, is because I constantly purport, or I believe, that India and Russia are natural allies. I always say India, Russia, Vietnam, and Japan, natural allies. These guys complement each other so well in what they do right and what they do wrong. They're very complementary relationship, these countries. So I always see them as a non-alignment. I actually see China moving closer, or be very wise if America and China had a better relationship, because I don't see a geographic check on India. It's basically pretty well situated geographically. So that being said, I'm surprised that India is going as far to hurt a country who they benefit greatly from. Having a cache of resources to your north, when you have 1.4 billion people, like the largest country in the world, at your access, it's kind of a good luck, that's great fortune for India. So the fact that they would throw Russia under the bus for America, which what do they really need the United States for? That they can't develop or grow to develop working with Russia and Europe in the medium term. I'll be interested to find out. So the other thing that's very interesting is obviously India has a very strong relationship with Israel, and that is growing as well. And I think these are another two countries that really complement each other well. Israel with a lot of heavy on the technological side, banking and finance, great with administration. It's amazing what they've done in Israel. And you have India, who has all these weekends, right? It's this big bureaucratic machine, all these people they need to manage. So you have like tech companies being created in Israel, but they don't have the manpower. You have this inexhaustible or this never-ending manpower in India that can complement Israeli markets. And I thought it was very interesting because Prime Minister Netanyahu just came out with a speech where he was talking about being overly reliant on the United States. And I'm very curious in who he was thinking he was going to place the United States with. Obviously, he's just talking about growing his alliance network, not making a trade out. But it's going to be interesting to see who Israel looks to. And right now, I don't think there's a more openly friendly country in the world to Israel than India. So that's another thing is another. So I'm saying they really don't need technology from the United States. They got Europe, they got Russia, they got Israel. So it's real interesting, especially seeing this deal going from them only improving 7%, but these so-called inventors of chess, these savvy Indians, give Donald Trump tariff-free access to their country while they're cut off and become reliant on North American oil. Why do they need North American oil when they're right next to Russia? They're right next to Saudi Arabia. They're right next to United Arab Emirates. So they're right next to Iran. It's just really interesting to me. So we'll see where this goes, but I'm not seeing it from the Indian side. But like I said, if you're American, this is a great deal. Congratulations. You just got another one over on Russia. So love to hear your thoughts. Comment below if you have any. Like, share, subscribe if you enjoy the content. Until next time, take care. Bantu up.